Okay, everyone, and welcome back. Do you like to skip the game's intro? Recommended for streamers and Let's Players. Hey, that's me! They're talking to me! The elevator's warmth was a relief from the cold waters of Styx and the bodies inside thrashing on the water's surface. I knew the heat would soon become a fleeting feeling the deeper I went. I clasped a hand over the cross around my neck and took a deep breath. The door closed, and the elevator began its slow descent down into the thick of hell. Each elevator ride had been vastly different from the last in terms of both the elevator itself and the length of the ride down. While the time between the first and second circles only took 30 seconds, the ride between the fourth and fifth took what felt like 30 minutes. Some were smooth and in sleek, modern elevators. Others were... My knees wobbled at the sudden rumble. I leaned my back against the wall. I felt like I was going to be sick. I'd rather not die a second time, let alone in an old elevator. I shut my eyes and hoped my stomach wouldn't give out again. The elevator stopped, and its doors opened. My eyes were not ready for the immediate surge of fog that washed into the elevator like waves. I swatted some of it away as I made my exit from the insecurity of metal. Dirt scattered below my feet with each step. I was in a cemetery shrouded in deep fog. There was no sign of life, not even in the form of trees or wildflowers. All there was were tombs, some open and empty, some closed. I called out into the mist, hoping someone would answer. The keepers of each circle have made themselves hard to find. At this point, it was expected. I called out again, my voice vanishing into a rasp as the fog ate my words. There was nothing to do but walk. As I trekked through the dirt between the gravestones, I noticed some of the tombs were on fire. Not enough to set dead grass alight, not enough to leave a smell. Eventually, I spotted someone in the distance, dressed in black and red, holding an umbrella. Were they a mourner? What would a mourner be doing in front of a burning tomb? I slowly approached, careful not to do anything too fast to set the stranger off. Are you the one trying to make his way to Satan? They were not facing me, their eyes still cast down into the flaming abyss below us. Are you too scared to respond, Fallen? They turned towards me with a small smile on their face. Both irises were white, but the rest of the eye was drowned in different colors, one red, one black. Over their mouth was a muzzle, like one a dog would wear if it could not keep its mouth shut and canines unsheathed. Welcome to Heresy, the sixth circle. My name is Darian, and I am the circle's keeper. Might I know your name, Fallen? My name is Sam. Sam. That's a beautiful name. Do you really think so? Of course. What reason would I have to lie to you? I stared at the demon of heresy, like the answer was obvious. Your circle is for false teachers of faith, for those who say falsehoods about the way religion works. I've also taken the blasphemers and the liars under my wing. Does it bother you? You've met my friends in limbo, lust, gluttony, greed, and wrath. Sure, the deeper you go, the more horrifying it may appear to be. But it's not that bad, truly. Everyone has treated you well so far, correct? I reflected on each keeper I had met before coming down to the sixth circle. They've all been nice. Is that surprising? It is. Should I be worried? Worried about what they'll do to you? Of course not. Oh. Why do you wear a muzzle? It's the first thing you notice. People do not typically walk around wearing metal like that on their faces. Typically. It was put on me by someone else. He said it's supposed to stop me from lying. In truth, it doesn't work. But it's a pretty accessory, though, right? I do not need to eat. I do not need to sleep. Not anymore, at least. It sounds miserable. My work is never finished. Will never be finished. But enough of all that. Dorian raised a hand out to the sky, palm up. There was a look of annoyance which briefly came over his face. I looked up to the sky. It was beginning to grow dark, filled with tones I had never seen before in rain clouds. Is rain coming? Shh. For the first few minutes, the fall is not bad, but it can become worse than a raging blizzard. We should hurry back to the library. I'll return later to observe the fires. He extended his hand towards me. Here, the umbrella will shield you from the storm until we get you to shelter. I could taste it in the air. The bitter remains of smoke had already made a home on my tongue. I declined the hand, and instead stood next to him. Stay close to me. It's not going to kill you, but it'll get in your lungs and ruin your clothes. And the two of us walked through the fog and past uncovered graves, whose fires blazed despite the upcoming storm. Dorian looked down at me every so often as we walked, but he barely said a word. Was he judging me? Or was he just making sure I was okay? I didn't know. The fog parted as falling ash began to take its place. I had learned about Pompeii when I was a child. I imagined the citizens of that ancient city witnessing this fall of ash. What would they have thought if they were in my position, unafraid and protected, certain of incoming shelter? Would they have found it beautiful? I would never get those answers. Birds flew above us. I could not see them, but I could hear their calls as they shifted through the ash. Once the fog started shooting upward, as if to battle the incoming cinders, I spotted a large building. It reminded me of the cathedrals in big cities and tucked into countrysides. You're a demon like the others, right? That is correct. Then how come there's a building in a circle of hell that is themed like a Catholic cathedral? You might call it blasphemous, and I suppose that it is. But it's because I've always enjoyed Catholic aesthetics, whether it be in their art or their architecture. Though I can't say I love what they have to say. You're a creature born of malice and evil. You could never understand the grace and the warmth of the church. Dorian laughed, covering his mouth with his hand, as if to feign politeness. You're funny, Sam. What would you say if I told you I was human at one point? A long, long time ago. Guess it makes sense. Even Satan was once an angel. And all these years later, he still has the beauty of one. You'll learn, oh sweet fallen. Now, shall we go in? As we walked on the steps, the front door opened for us. From it rolled in a dusty aroma, not like the dust and ash of the graves, but instead like old books and wood. Something about it was comforting, much more comforting than the storm, with its clouds putting pressure on the air in my lungs. As soon as we entered, the doors shut behind us. I was greeted to an extravagant room, lined with books on either side. Above me sat beautiful paintings of mythical creatures, sitting among dead forests and empty beaches. Dorian placed his umbrella in a holder next to the door. There were 3 others clumped together, all from different historical eras. You won't be able to go out until the storm passes. Why not? It'll obscure where the elevator is. Hard to see, hard to navigate. And it could bury you. It's best to wait it out. How long could it take? I don't know, but you're not in a hurry, right? A few hours or a few days is nothing compared to the rest of eternity. Are you cold? I can make you tea, and you can tell me what brings you down here. There was nothing else to be done. Maybe I'll give you a tour, Sam. Sure. All right. Hurry along, then. Dorian reached a hand out to me once more. You might wander off and get lost. There are lots of things in my library of lies that would draw even the purest of souls in. I don't think I'll get lost if I stay nearby you, right? You won't. I see you, Frick. But the halls of the library can get cold. It helps preserve some objects. I just don't want you to freeze before you hit the 9th circle. You trying to flirt with me? All he did was smile. We walked past statues, books, globes, and artifacts. He explained that most of the books were falsehoods, realities which people thought were real, but never truly existed. Beliefs that were closer to fiction than fact. Some of them, labeled with pretty black and gold spines, were of truths, of beauties that exist in the world. I asked why he, as heresy, kept those. He didn't give me a straight answer. He said there was value in this knowledge. What was valuable about lies? Be surprised. And any time I wanted to reach for something, Dorian swatted my hand away. No matter how much you may preach about sin, shiny objects tempt you, I wondered how old the globes were and what countries they showed. I wondered where he got them. I wondered if any of these books had been read by anyone other than Dorian himself. But why did I care? I wanted to leave eventually. I had to get down to the 9th circle. After what felt like 20 minutes worth of walking, Dorian stopped at an unassuming door. He grabbed for the knob. This is one of my many office spaces. I never get to use them, only for the sparse company. He opened it and bowed, a free hand extended into the room. I followed his lead and walked in. That's hot. Sorry, but it is. The door shut behind us, and Dorian let out a sigh of relief. It was a room with 2 levels. 3 of the 4 walls were lined with books. The only light came from a window parallel to the entry door. Whatever lurked outside I was unable to see. The ash was too saturated. What's the view out there? From here, distant fires and mist. I turned back to Dorian with an involuntary sigh. Feel free to sit while I make tea. Do you have a preference on flavors? I prefer floral ones, but I'll do anything for you, Sam. As long as I have it, of course. I didn't want to have him go out of his way to make something to appease me. I'll just have what you're having. Splendid. He walked over to a small break in the shelves. I stared at the table in front of me, with 2 chairs and papers scattered about it. You can move those to the side, you know. I don't mind. I nodded and started to stack the papers. Most were unopened letters and archival notes. 1 letter, half out of its page with a drawing attached, intrigued me. Ooh. I took the papers out. There was 1 main letter of normal size that was accompanied by smaller pieces, each with a beautiful sketch done in pen. They looked to be of holy beings. Interesting. I read the letter attached, which was written in cursive and red ink. Dorian, I've sent some thumbnail ideas for the commission for the 14th Wing. Let me know what you think. I'm really excited to start working on these. Any work you can give me is such a pleasure, eh? I hadn't seen any art pieces in the halls. Is there a part of the library that has some? I placed the letter's contents back in their envelope and sat down. I saw you read that. Uh-oh. Sorry. No, it's all right. I'm sure you're curious. Who's it from? A demon friend of mine. They're a painter. I've tried picking up the medium, but it just isn't for me. I try to categorize the wings of my collection. Sometimes it's by century, sometimes it's by region. And I like to decorate them. I keep more than just books. There are artifacts as well. What's in the other letters? I won't read any of those, but I'm curious, like you said. Oh no, typo, ouch. I do a pen pal system throughout the circles, and to other regions. Other regions? Only human beings who believe what you believe are sent here once they succumb. There are other afterlives, and there are societies for the inhuman in between doors. He returned with 2 cups. One had a plain straw in the cup, which I assumed was for him. The other was a beautiful teacup with a gold handle and deep blue flowers, painted like the night sky. Dorian placed the fancy cup in front of me, and his on the other side. Finally, he sat down and twirled some of his hair around his finger. I hope you enjoy it. It's blueberries, hibiscus, cherries, and some other fruits. I'm sure it'll pick you up in the darkness down here, at least. Okay. Thank you. Anything for you, Sam. You are a guest in my home. If you need anything else, please let me know, okay? He placed the straw between the bars of his muzzle so he could take a sip. It was scorching hot, and he was drinking it immediately. So, let's start this over, Sam. Dorian was cut off by a sound hitting the window nearby. The 2 of us turned to find the source. It was a bird with black feathers that contrasted against the light dust on of the outside storm. It stared at me for a few seconds, flapping its wings to keep its place. And before I could process it, the bird flew off into the chaos. I noticed them earlier. Why do you have birds? I don't know, but they don't bother me. I let them fly about. Some of them nest on spires. Blackbirds are my favorite animal. He cleared his throat and resumed the conversation. You've recently died, and you were sent to Limbo, the first circle. Now, you want to go through each circle until you reach Satan at the 9th. You hope to state your case and be allowed into the heavens. That's correct. Now, do you know why you were brought down to hell? I don't. I've been a devotee to the Lord all my life. So, you're going down to visit him without knowing what you may have done wrong. I believe it's a mistake. I was mistaken for someone else. Really now? That's what I think. Especially because everyone has been so kind to me as I've traveled down. If it's not exactly a mistake, then it's a test. He said nothing, tapping his fingers instead on the cup in his hand. It is, yes. Love those references. We should start from the beginning then, shouldn't we? We can figure out where you might have messed up. We talk about you. When did you die? January 1st. On the solemnity of Mary, Mother of God. Yes, I was on my way to Mass. That's unfortunate. And how did you die, Sam? I fell. Before going into the church, someone asked me to help with something on the roof. We'd been doing renovations, you see, and We had some birds that began to nest on the steeple. Someone asked me to climb up one of the ladders to try and whisk the birds away. It would have been bad for them and bad for us. Of course. But as I climbed up the ladder, I must have slipped and lost the step. I must have slipped on the last step. I think one of the birds flew out and startled me. So I fell off and onto my back. I could hear nothing. All I could feel was blood. It felt like it was everywhere, squirting against my neck, dripping down my forehead, clustering in my eyes. My body felt wrong, bent in every wrong angle and shape. I looked up and watched the sky until my vision went dark. It was like watching a solar eclipse. And then I ended up here. Not in your circle, obviously. Do you regret dying, Fallen? He'd called me that before, and only now did I find it odd. I didn't tell Dorian my cause of death before this. Why do you keep calling me Fallen? This is my first time telling you how I died. Is it? You already knew about my death, didn't you? I heard birds and everything. Fallen is a nickname that I give to those who come down here, asking for forgiveness from the fallen angel himself. People who believe they have fallen from where they should be, fallen from the earth, down here instead. It's a coincidence. Bullshit. I call bullshit. You don't have to believe me. I'm not expecting validation from you, Sam. You are in my domain, after all. Everything you're seeing in front of you could be a lie. Who knows? But it's no use dwelling on hypotheticals. We have more important things to discuss. Your locket. Huh? He held his hand out to me. Let me see it. I'd nearly forgotten the new piece of jewelry which sat loosely around my neck after I tried prying it open to no avail in the second circle. Why? You know how people will keep portraits and memories of the beloved tucked in a locket close to their heart, so they do not forget what is most important to them. It's similar to that, only it's with your memories. I unhooked the silver clasp sitting at the back of my neck and handed it to him. He was careful not to touch the clasp. Why? The keepers of those circles offered no response when I asked about its purpose. Dorian stood up and walked to a row of books behind him. Each looked old, older than any church I had ever visited. It'll be easier to parse through if we can just... He picked up the fifth book from the left, which had a faded label with 13 written in purple. This one should work. Dorian began flipping through the pages, being gentle with each one. Every so often, he pushed his glasses up with his index finger. What are you doing? I'm trying to find an empty page. There we go. He'd opened a page towards the end of the book. It was decorated in a border with twigs and birds, painted in neutral, matte colors. The most peculiar part was the oval-shaped hole in the middle of the page. Dorian placed the book on the table. He then placed the locket in the hole. It fit perfectly. I looked at his face, admiring the way his eyebrows knitted and his lips parted in concentration. We then close that, and all we do now his weight. He used the chain of the locket as a bookmark before he closed the book shut. What does that do? It'll write out your life story for me. All on one page. We just need to give it a few minutes. Can I interest you with more tea? I think I'm all right, thank you. Let me finish this cup. All right. Dorian stood up, taking his cup and returning to the corner where he had originally made the tea. I looked down at the liquid swirling in my cup. When I glanced up, Dorian was staring at me, with a soft expression on his face. Dorian? Huh? Huh? Oh, apologies. He turned away from me and began rummaging around in the drawers. I think I'm going to be making choices from here. I'm so glad y'all are here, though. Why were you staring at me like that? I was making sure you wouldn't touch the book while it was processing. Not that I don't trust you. It's just happened before. Most people who make it to my circle end up dying in it. He'd mentioned this before, but he was being so careful with me. And so would everyone else. How many people do you say you get per year trying to convince Satan? About 1 to 4% of those who try. And the other keepers of the higher circles kill the rest? Sometimes they end the suffering of the poor soul before they're humiliated by Satan on the bottom floor. Other times a rogue demon or beast gets them. They might even succumb just from the hellish scenery. And... Mosh bear! I hate that I can't yell. That kills me. You might even succumb just from the hellish scenery and atmosphere. Then how come no one's tried to do that to me? Bettina. All I've done was appear and explain my situation, and everyone has led me to their elevators with no malicious intent. I know, it hurt to do, believe me. Perhaps they really believe you. You know, I'm gonna press. There are some interesting mirrors happening here. I don't think you're telling the truth. I am the master of small falsehoods. Anything can be a lie. I want you to tell me the truth, Dorian. How do you know that's not the truth? If you don't tell me the truth, I'll leave this room, find the exit, and walk right into the ash storm. I locked the doors as soon as we entered. Unless you have great strength, you aren't getting out. What? Couldn't have you wandering off during the process. You have to understand. Well, I can't. Because I don't. Because the locket is part of your soul, Sam. It's the vigor, the grace, the love, and the compassion, all of which beckon you to continue living and traveling into the depths. If you leave a certain radius of it, you too shall succumb, like dust collecting in abandoned corners. I couldn't tell if he was lying or not. Don't make me witness that. Don't make yourself experience it. Do many get killed a second time, then, from having their lockets ripped off by beasts? No. The clasp is made of a specific metal, only found on the 9th circle. It looks like silver, but it's not. It burns if we touch it, no matter how many layers of gloves we choose. We cannot break the chain. That's why he avoided touching it earlier. I can save you from the ash storm. I cannot save you from becoming dust in a hellish fit of rage. We were interrupted by a bird's chirping.
Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and ring those bells. That's all I have for today. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye, everyone.